Hey y'all, this is T. Today is October 24th, 2017. Thanks for tuning in. I won't be looking at chat so much tonight. I figured I'd go ahead and have a live show. Hope the sound is coming through fine. I figured I'd go ahead and have a live show so that information could be shared amongst others in the chat. And also, please feel free to leave comments on this video with any information that you may have. I'm going to take kind of a different look at things, as I have found some coincidences. So I'm going to look at facts. I don't want to make any assumptions, but I want to point out some things that I've noticed that have a lot of similarities, relationships, what have you, and see what y'all think about it. Now, with the Las Vegas shootings on October 1st, we've had shootings in Las Vegas before with these two right here, Jared and Amanda Miller, who came from Bundy Ranch. Bundy Ranch is located near Mesquite, Nevada. Close to Mesquite, Nevada, where Stephen Paddock, the shooter from the Mandalay Hotel, lived. I'm going to check the chat really quick just to make sure if anyone would give me a sound check. Nobody seems to be in there, and that's fine. Most of my listeners listen to my show after it renders and not live. Oh boy, I'm scrambling here because I'm trying to think of how to present this. There are so many with this. Tragedy that happened at the Mandalay Hotel in Las Vegas on October 1st. I guess I'll start by backing up. I made a timeline here. It starts with 9/11, the attacks of 9/11, which happened in 2001, of course. Now, what came out of that was the anti-Islam campaign had started. Several key people that I'm going to point out in this video served in Iraq and in Afghanistan after Bundy Ranch. Seems like I might be getting some feedback here. Not sure why. Hope that's not coming over the air. So leave me a comment. I'll check my comments here in just a moment. If it is, what I'll do is I'll just delete this video and I'll make a standalone video because these are some important things that people need to know. Okay, so we had the Bundy Ranch standoff. That was in 2014. Then we had the Las Vegas shootings from Amanda and Jared Miller in 2014. They left Bundy Ranch and gunned down 2 police officers and at least 1 civilian. Anti-Islam campaign ramps up with key people also all involved with the Bundy Ranch, and we're getting to the Oregon standoff with their Draw the Prophet and etc. Then we had the shootings here in Garland, Texas, that happened at the Pamela Geller Draw the Prophet contest in 2015, in which the FBI was there and involved as a lookout. Comments real quick to see. Okay, good. Thank you for the sound check because I'm hearing a little. I've changed some things with my sound. Okay, moving forward. We had the Oregon standoff January 1st, so that was the end of 2015, and a lot of the same key players are involved. October 1st, 2017, what happened in Las Vegas and Mandalay Bay by Stephen Paddock. Oh, let's see where to start. Okay. I guess I'll start with what we know happened here in Texas. I'll go ahead and pull that up. At the Pamela Geller Hamid contest, where two self-proclaimed ISIS members were shot and killed because they went there and wanted to start trouble and hurt people. Draw the prophet, peace be upon him, at that Pamela Geller had put on here in Garland. Now, there was an FBI agent there who was playing a central role here in this article, the first ISIS attack on U.S. soil. Happening there was an FBI agent that was acting as a lookout for these ISIS shooters. It did manage to hurt I believe it was a security guard there. I'll just read this first paragraph. The first on U.S. soil for which ISIS claimed responsibility in 15 shooting in Garland was instigated by, according to an investigation by CBS 60 Minutes and government documents obtained by an attorney. So here we have a terrorist attack to where the FBI is actually acting as a lookout. I bring this up as far as the shootings that happened on October 1st because a lot of the key players are still involved. We're finding out Russian influences, whatnot, have pushed Pamela Geller's agenda. We have the FBI here acting as a lookout at this event, which stirred up some key players. Bundy, I don't even know what to call it at this point. I call it the Bundy clan. It's also a cult. Back and forth in time, so please try to stay with me. Coming to back to the October 1st with Stephen Paddock, he had bought guns from a bodyguard to Cliven Bundy himself. And here we have in the article, exclusive, the missing gun. And what I am not hearing about these missing guns. Did they find the missing guns? Stephen Paddock bought a high-powered Ruger rifle just hours before arriving in Las Vegas, but the 600 on his 23-weapon arsenal of death. And here we go from who he bought it from, happens to be a bodyguard of Cliven Bundy. Back at the Bundy Ranch, and he was also there at the Oregon standoff. Again, these are coincidences. There's an awful lot to look at here. Curious to know if this guns and guitar shop where Jonathon Skipper Speece, right here, see next to Cliven Bundy, works at the store that just happened to sell guns to Stephen Paddock, who went further. And terrorist attack yet? I'm just curious. Yeah, committed these horrible deaths, murders. Gun shop workers, Skipper Speece revealed Paddock was calm and normal when he bought the weapon at around 3 p.m. on September 28th. Now, these Bundy, the Bundy clan, whatever, it has a lot of tentacles, and I don't, any of the people who follow them religiously are aware of them. If they are, there's a lot that they are aware of, but they're just not wanting to, I don't know, for whatever reason, talk about it. So let's take a look at a few of those. Let's see. Started with 9/11. Many people were, as far as the anti-Islam rhetoric, I believe that's being used after 9/11, of course, because we got into several wars, only to find out they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Mentally tortured these key players into what was to come, being the Bundy Ranch standoff, the Oregon standoff, and several other incidences of explosions, planned bombings. Also, backing up a little bit to this Jonathon Skipper Speece, I saw an article where it looks like he was just hired on September 28th in guitars that sold the guns to Stephen Paddock. This was on their page itself, and it says Skipper has an AAS in firearms technology, 4 years of firearms customization, NRA RSO certified, Navy veteran, 2003 to 2007, 2 deployments to Arabian Gulf. There's a lot of veterans involved here, but then again, there's a lot of stolen valor. So we have to be careful to make sure, were they really a veteran or are they just saying they were a veteran? Because there is a lot of stolen valor involved. Now, another connection with that, before I forget, again, I should probably put this in better order as to who's connected to who, because it runs all over the place. This Jonathon Skipper Speece, it just so happens that a gentleman that passed away there, this Christopher Roy Ball of Colorado, who was shot in the October 1st shootings from Stephen Paddock, a buddy of Jonathon Skipper Speece. Now, I'm not sure as to how close they were, or if they were just brothers in service, so to speak. Skipper Speece made a public here where he says, "I'm lost for words. I'm crushed. Rest easy, shipmate." And he forwards this from the Nevada Veterans Council, in loving memory of Christopher Roy Ball. He was one of the individuals lost in the Las Vegas shooting. Well, Jonathon doesn't mention here, again, that it was it him personally? That I don't know. He was employed. That some missing guns to Stephen Paddock, a terrorist. How many terrorists are involved with this group? We're supposed to believe these are just coincidences. I think that they deserve at least a closer look. Skipping back to these two, Jonathon and Amanda Miller, who went on to gun down 2 police officers and at least 1 civilian in Las Vegas during the Bundy standoff at Bundy Ranch. Here's Ammon Bundy right here serving Jared Miller pancakes for breakfast. Now, I don't know if this was the very day that Jared Miller ran off to Las Vegas and took the life of 2 Las Vegas police officers and at least 1 civilian. I don't know if it was this morning, but it was probably like within the week at least. So he's serving him pancakes. I'm just not buying that there's no connection to what we're seeing right now in Las Vegas, because this goes up into, boy, it goes all the way to Russia, because it goes through our government, Michelle Fiore, who also pushed the anti-Islam rhetoric and the guns rights. Here's a sign here that was from Bundy Ranch, comparing it to Ukraine, has the hammer and sickle here, Soviet. Nobody's wanting to look at this or pay attention to it. I'm not hearing it anyways, and I'm not hearing it from their followers that this means anything. They're just not talking about it at all. So I think it's time that we have a look at these things. Now, there were explosives involved. Didn't go off, thank God, at the October 1st at the Mandalay Hotel. These people have several explosives. Here's an explosive that happened. Clark County Sheriff Joseph Lombardo confirmed that ammonium nitrate was discovered in the car of the shooter and tannerite in his home. Now, I had thought that there was tannerite in his car or something there at the Mandalay. I don't have that right in front of me. That I would have to look at again. Here we have one of the best friends of LaVoy Finicum, William Keebler, or Bill Keebler, Mr. Bill. Utah militia leader William Keebler attending the funeral for Arizona rancher LaVoy Finicum. Now, they call LaVoy a rancher, but his main source of income was foster care. In Kanab, Utah, February 5th, 2016, he had scoped out mosques, wanted to bomb a mosque, but instead attempted to bomb a federal building unsuccessfully, and again, the FBI was involved and thwarted that. I'm going to go ahead and check the chat really quick. Be right back. Okay, thanks for the sound check. Again, if this doesn't come out good, I can make a standalone video or we can have another show. Okay, now, so we have the best friend of a militia leader who was gunned down. It just gets worse and worse. Who was going to blow something up? Then another one of their militia leaders, Michael Emery, he admitted to providing 66 machine guns to a single buyer who was preparing for civil unrest in the U.S. and assembled a bomb that was intended to kill a cocaine dealer, but ultimately was never used. Now, that was in his past. Presently, for having a stolen fully automatic M2 Browning at the Oregon standoff and makings of another bomb, which was years after, to the cocaine dealer, and the FBI was involved there, and he was some kind of an informant. And again, with both of those, the anti-Islam rhetoric is very strong. It's like a glue that holds these people together. Then we recently had, let me find it here, another one of their following was pulled over, who is a sovereign citizen, and that's another vein that runs very strong with this bunch, the sovereign citizens. Bundy Ranch sovereign citizen militant was pulled over for a traffic violation. Police found multiple arms and 1,000 rounds of ammo. I don't know if tannerite was involved there. I'm going to pull this article up, go back and look. Again, this is like, this could be many videos. There's so many connections here. But the stake, Finicum, at the Oregon standoff, dealt with Russian arms. Here we see speculation surrounds FBI investigation of Panaka bombing. This is from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and it's dated July 22nd, 2016. I believe this was LaVoy Finicum's cousin, I want to say. This Joshua Clough. Let me do a search real quick and see if LaVoy's name is in here. Here. Authorities could be interested in Joshua Clough's ties to LaVoy Finicum. The slain spokesman is what they call him, the spokesman for the occupiers of Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon. The two are cousins. So this Joshua Clough just pulls up and blows him, I believe he blew himself up in his car and part of that house. Let's see. There's an awful lot of explosion, guns, and anti-government, anti-Islam going on here. And all of these people are related to each other, and it's just a coincidence that this Paddock went and bought guns from one of them, a bodyguard of Cliven Bundy, and then committed what he did October 1st in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Hotel. You decide. I'm just putting it all together here. Just seems like a bit of a coincidence here. You know who else has coincidences? ISIS. Just saying. Is that strong words? Yes. But our president, Donald Trump, had strong words about the October 1st shootings in Las Vegas, saying here, right after it occurred, my heart and prayers go out to the victims' families of the Las Vegas massacre. The FBI tells me that Stephen Paddock was a known Antifa. Has that been proven? Wow. Antifa member. It's time for people to get off their knees and take this country back from the real terrorists. So yeah. Wow. That says a whole lot. It's amazing. Now, bringing that up, Donald Trump is all into all of this with Roger Stone, is a known spokesman for the Bundys, trying to get them cleared of their charges. Here we have, right after the shootings, recent shootings in Las Vegas, Cliven Bundy's attorney said individuals involved in the case need personal time to recover from Vegas shooting. Personal time to recover from Vegas shooting. Now, there's a logical reason for that because of gun rights and whatnot, and they're being accused of pointing their guns at federal agents and amongst other things. So, but personal time to recover from Vegas shooting. It affected them that much because Cliven Bundy, his bodyguard, sold guns. And now there's something about missing guns to the shooter, Stephen Paddock. So his Cliven Bundy, whose bodyguard was Jonathon Skipper Speece, sold the guns, some of the guns, to Stephen Paddock, who went on to commit several murders in Las Vegas. He needs what? Personal time to recover from the Vegas shooting. Wow. Okay, then. There's a lot of that runs in with this clan too. They're the victims. They're the victims. He needs personal time to recover from his bodyguard selling guns to a terrorist. Then we have our president backing up, saying it was Antifa. That Stephen Paddock was Antifa. Yet their spokesperson here is Roger Stone. I'm pulling up a bit about Roger Stone right now so we can see what he's about. I'm going to do a quick search in here. Roger Stone, who is a spokesperson for the Bundys. He pleads the case for the Bundys to Donald Trump. In 1995, Stone was the president of Republican Senator Arlen Specter's campaign for the 1996 Republican presidential nomination. Specter in the campaign season with less than 2% support. Stone was for many years a lobbyist for Donald Trump on behalf of his casino business, and was also involved in opposing expanded casino gambling in New York State, a position that brought him into conflict with Governor George Pataki. He went on to work on Donald Trump's campaign. In 2000, Stone served as campaign manager of Donald Trump, Trump's aborted campaign for president in the Reform Party primary. Let's see. In 2007, Stone, a top advisor at the time to Joseph Bruno, the majority leader of the New York State Senate, was forced to resign by Bruno after allegations that Stone had threatened Bernard Spitzer, the then 83-year-old father of Democratic gubernatorial candidate Eliot Spitzer. On August 6, 2007, an expletive-laced message was left on the elder Spitzer's answering machine, threatening to prosecute the elderly man if he did not implicate his son in wrongdoing. Bernard Spitzer hired a private detective agency that traced the call to Roger Stone's wife. Stone. Roger Stone denied leaving the message despite the fact that his voice was recognized, claiming he was at a movie, and that was later shown to have not been screened that night. Stone was accused of an episode of Hardball with Chris Matthews on August 22, 2007, of being the voice on an expletive-laden voicemail threatening Bernard Spitzer, father of Eliot, with subpoenas. Donald Trump is quoted as saying of the incident, "They caught Roger red-handed lying. What he did was ridiculous and stupid." The connections, so he's just a pal of Donald Trump's. Now, which brings us to 2016. He served on the Trump campaign, which is now, Roger Stone is now being subpoenaed for relations to Russia. And of course, he is a buddy with Alex Jones. And I want to reiterate, Roger Stone is a spokesperson for this Bundy clan. Very close with Deb Jordan, very close with Michelle Fiore, a former, now, Assemblywoman for the state of Nevada. She was at I forget his first name. Last name is Huff. Dennis Huff. Owns one of the brothels there. She was there staying with him. He's also involved in politics, so she could have just been staying at his place or whatever when there was a fire recently. These people all work hand in hand. Now, speaking of prostitution, there was another thing here with Roger Stone where he had been found to have placed an ad looking for sexual partners for himself and his wife, like in some seedy magazine. It's here in Wikipedia. He denied that too, and it was found to be true. Anyways, only bringing that up to show the character of these people. Again, he has pled to Donald Trump to let the Bundys go free. He has a big interest in these Bundys. Here with this video, he has a big interest in these Bundys. Why does he care? Oh, because it's about their cows and their grazing in public lands again. Right. Okay. And there's the Russian influence. Now, there's been, I'm trying to stay only with the facts here, but I've heard ramblings, and I haven't found any actual facts, but I haven't looked very hard either as to know whether Stephen Paddock did he work transporting weapons? I've also heard but not seen any facts that he was laundering money, that he was winning. He was a gambler, but he was being set up to win. And then his winnings were like laundered money. So it looked like, oh, the casino lost money. It goes in Stephen Paddock's hand. And then it's given to who it's supposed to be given to, for whether it's prostitution, drugs, whatever. I've heard ramblings also of child prostitution, but no facts. So these things were in my mind when I put this collection together. There just seems to be too many coincidences. I also looked here. I thought, well, that is kind of weird that Stephen Paddock lived here in Mesquite, Nevada, which, by the way, I found an article where they have had problems with drug smugglers. Illegal alien drug smugglers just happened to be, or I take that back, they may have been legal, but did have problems with their reason or another. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because it is close to Mexico, and it is close enough to Las Vegas and whatnot, or you know, a major hub, let's say, for such things as there in that article. I don't know if I put it in this collection or not. There was drugs, child prostitution involved, along and weapons charges right here in Mesquite, which I did look up Mesquite, and I want to say their population is just under 18,000. It's like 17,000 and something. We're not talking about a big area, so it's just too bizarre. I just had to bring this up. Then we have Bunkerville here, where the Bundy Ranch is. Now it's an hour and 11 minutes away that Paddock lived from Las Vegas. Now, at first I found that suspect, but really it's not, because if his story were to pan out, a lot of people that travel for work you know, go live in the area where they work and then move back and then go back home for the weekend or whatever. So not really that big of a deal, but it is close to Bundy Ranch. I am interested in Jonathon Skipper Speece, though. Where is he from, and why is he in Mesquite? Maybe he's always been from there. Not sure. Didn't look that far into it just yet. Standalone videos if I have time. Not sure. This is a subset of our society, because we have Michelle Fiore. I just talked about her, who is a former assemblywoman. Now I believe she's a councilwoman. Let's see. And what she has to say about the shootings in Las Vegas, she says, a Republican former state, Michelle Fiore, a Republican former state assemblywoman who joined the council in July, politicizing the shooting, takes our eyes off the true cause. What is the true cause? Does she know? She then said, oh, okay, here, this is her take on it, I guess. She then said psychotropic drugs are to blame, holding up Wednesday's Review Journal and pointing to a story about Paddock, the shooter, being prescribed in June to the anti-anxiety drug diazepam. Well, I don't hold a lot of that as far as she's concerned, anything she has to say, because didn't she say she believes that in the past she says that cancer is a fungus and just needs to be rinsed out of our bodies or something? The woman's a cuckoo nut. She also said that she'd like to shoot Syrian refugees in the head. Okay, again, she's been a big stirrer of hate, and she's behind a lot of this Bundy cult. I think they're starting to get closer to finding out who's all involved, because she's part of what's called the Coalition of Western States. Now, these Western states have that uranium. The story has just broken about Hillary being involved in Uranium One and all of that money being funneled in and all of these people are all up in this, and I don't know how all that is. I don't want to go into that because I want to stick to the terrorism. Our president is standing behind, and his spokespeople are standing behind this kind of behavior, but they're not wanting to point out what this clan is made of. We have explosives. We have Russia. We have Roger Stone. We have many politicians. We have veterans. They like to tug on people's heartstrings with the veterans. Don't go through these organizations, whatever. Give your money to us and buy our T-shirts and whatnot, and we'll help the veterans. It's amazing. Now, with the Russia connections, I just noticed that because I'd heard, we have a gun store here, okay, where Paddock had bought the guns from. Well, obviously, a gun store has to get shipments, right? Where do they get guns? And then there was, I've heard rumblings of Stephen Paddock possibly being involved with, I think I read an article where he's supposedly a pilot, was a pilot for, which brings me to these Russian agents just seem to keep dropping dead all over the place, usually from a heart attack. There was one that had passed away in Washington, D.C., and they all seem to have something to do with Russian Today publication, journalism. And I'm pulling up this gentleman who just happened to die days later after the shootings in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, who has to do with both, I believe, transporting arms and, let's see, and Russian Today. I'm sorry if y'all didn't get a notification for the show as well, by the way. I noticed I didn't get one, so don't know if the notifications had gone out. Oh, this is taking a while. Also, I wanted to mention with these heart attacks, the CIA has some heart attack gun. I'm just throwing that out there where it has some little frozen capsule that causes a heart attack upon hitting somebody, and then it's undetected by an autopsy. So these people just keep passing away from these strange heart attacks. And I believe that's what this man, notorious arms dealer with links to Russia's military industry, suddenly dies in Ukraine. Now, that's dated October 8th. I'm not sure if that's the day he actually died, but all of a sudden he passes away. After all of this, we've got Roger Stone, who's a spokesman for the Bundys, and he's also all wrapped up into these Russian people and casinos, specifically Trump's casinos. We know this is an act of terrorism. Usually acts of terrorism have some sort of a message behind them. So what was the message is what I'm trying to find out. What were they trying to teach someone a lesson, so to speak, at the Mandalay Bay? Or maybe Paddock was just crazy, because there's also links between all of these people through Gary Hunt to the Oklahoma City bombing and Waco. It's just a bit too much. Here we have a wealthy Odessa businessman, Boris Kogan, who started working as a taxi driver and got rich on the international arms trade. Died at his home on October 6th, as reported by a local newspaper, Dumskaya, and with reference to sources close to the businessman. Kommersant reported that Kogan died suddenly due to heart problems. Now, this reminds me, so this was October 6th, and this goes on. Also, there's a lot about this man. He also bought a condo there in Trump Towers for his daughter. There's many, many connections here, but I just lost my train of thought. So if he was, oh yes, okay, so what his job was, where he got rich, is transporting arms, right, for Russia. Then we have Putin. Vladimir, that's in my collection, but he just recently made one of the largest arm deals with Saudi Arabia. Take a look at this story. Vladimir Putin just made one of the largest arms, how many billions that is, to sell arms to Saudi Arabia. which I find odd because Donald Trump was just over there bowing to Saudi Arabia. And also, Russia tends to side with Iran on Middle East issues. Saudi Arabia is not friendly with Iran at all. So it just seems odd that Russia is going to sell all of these weapons to Saudi Arabia. Here we go. Report: Russian propaganda czar was murdered in D.C. before planned 2015 meeting with feds. Now this is backing way up, but remember, these things didn't, all of this didn't just happen. There's always a backstory to it. Here, Putin with Mikhail Lesin in Vladivostok, Russia, 4th of 2002. Now let's read about this man because I've forgotten. Mikhail Lesin, who served for years as a top advisor to Vladimir Putin, died under mysterious circumstances while staying in a Washington hotel in November of 2015. A little less than a year later, federal prosecutors declared that the 57-year-old's death had been an accident, the unfortunate result of a drunken bartender that ended with Lesin falling down and sustaining fatal injuries to his head, neck, and torso. Now that was and that is I've only included this to show that there's this Russian involved, diet or not, whatever. Yeah, so he got drunk and fell down on his head. They're just dropping like flies. That's the only reason I put that in there. So that's a little bit of a diversion. They just keep passing away. But the one with the Kogan, who his job arms, he suddenly passes away right after the October 1st shootings in Las Vegas, whom I've heard only rumblings, not facts, about Stephen Paddock being some kind of an arms transporter, a pilot in particular. I haven't found any facts on that, so if anyone knows, please do leave a comment. Because then we have this guy who's like the major guy that transports Russian arms. And then one of the biggest arms deals of all times is made by Vladimir Putin, selling arms, which are going to have to be transported to Saudi Arabia. Long time coming, and there's just too many relationships, coincidences that many people may not know about now. More on Michael Emery, who was at the Oregon standoff with the stolen M2 fully automatic M2 Browning and makings of a bomb. We see him here. He's in prison right now. He was also involved in another FBI involved. I've already talked about that. Planned bombing, making a bombing, rather, for a cocaine dealer the FBI was involved in. He was an informant. Now I want to skip up here because it's his pal, Bennett. I'll pull up this article in a minute, but I put this little clip here so I could get to it quickly. 7 facts about Booz Allen Hamilton. Mike Emery's buddy, Scott Bennett, worked for Booz Allen Hamilton. The leader of sensitive documents from the National Security Agency, Edward Snowden, was an employee of Booz Allen Hamilton, one of the largest and most successful contractors for defense and intelligence agencies. Here's what you ought to know, according to information gleaned from the company's filings with the Securities and Exchange. A Booz Allen facility in Maryland. They're huge. 24. Okay. Just a bit. I wanted where they're involved with terrorists. Let's see. It's trying to figure out and identify terrorists through social media. First of this year, Booz Allen created a strategic innovation group. Just slow, so I'll try to get this pulled up while we continue reading here. Strategic innovation group with 100 employees aimed at creating new products that clients, read government agencies, know they need yet. Its areas of focus: predictive intelligence services that include anticipatory cyber threat solutions, protection and detection capabilities, and the application of social media analytics designed to provide early identification of trends that would otherwise not be possible using analysis and traditional data sources. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Now going back, Scott Bennett, who worked as a psychologist somewhere in the psychology field for Booz Allen Hamilton. It's not a secret. He ran psyops. He planned psyops. He designed psyops, and he just happens to be a good friend of this guy right here, Mike Emery, with the bomb and everything else, who's up in with the Bundys and with the Oregon standoff. Now, I'm just saying, all of these people seem to, for these standoffs, they're all friends on Facebook. They're all crowds. They got these ones in the mint. I just don't think it's a coincidence. Then we have one that's selling guns to the guy who did all the shooting. Yes, okay, and some of those guns are missing. And this is Booz Allen Hamilton. What I'll try to do is I've talked about Scott Bennett before. I'll try to put together an unlisted playlist maybe and put it at the end of this video that I'm working on right now, and you can see some of the other connections that we have from the past. These political players go all the way up. We had Shauna Cox at the Oregon standoff, who was left with a thumb drive of Pete Stantilli. I think he ended up with the data dump there. What did they want out of those computers? And we're supposed to believe it's about cows and their grass. All right. Well, anyway, Shauna Cox, her son-in-law, happened to blow up. He worked for the NSA, I believe, there in Utah, where it's based, about way, and I forget some other defense agency. So they have all of these ties, and they're in all of this trouble, and we're just supposed to believe that Stephen Paddock was on his way to go commit the biggest, no, it wouldn't be the biggest terrorist attack because that was 9/11, but these people, was this sold the guns to him from their article. Now, let's pull this one up. The most prominent firm discussed in the Kably shipping group, it was founded by Igor Urbansky, a former Soviet naval captain who was a Ukrainian government deputy minister from 2006 to 2009, and Boris Kogan. Now remember, we just spoke about Boris Kogan. He's the one that had the little heart problem right after these shootings in Las Vegas. He's the one that made the millions or all that money shipping arms, whose business connections tie him to Russia's defense industry. Kably-operated vessels have shipped all kinds of cargo, but they have also have an important business transporting weapons to conflict zones on Russia's behalf. Now that's very scary, because transporting arms to conflict zones. What did we have there in Nevada? A conflict zone on a very small scale compared to Ukraine and whatnot. But maybe there's one popping up that they're not telling us about, I don't know. Dabu7 just did a video today about what's going on in Africa. Many of these things are designed to be carried out. And of course, the FBI can't just arrest people and say, well, we know that you were planning this or whatnot, and arrest people. They have to actually see it go through, unfortunately, I would think. Then the people just get kind of slapped on the wrist like they should go and commit mass murder. Was he a senator? I'm not sure. In upstate New York, to a community of Muslims. I don't think he got in much trouble at all. Excuse me, because they didn't allow him to try to carry it out. These people are all connected. Running guns from Ukraine to Syria is getting complicated. And I'm looking at this because I'm trying to remember why I had put this in this collection. The story isn't about Russia or the United States, it's about Russia and the United States. This week, the Wall Street Journal shone a light paywall on the Americans' thwarted effort to run guns into Syria, regime-free Syrian army last fall. A lot of those attacks, I think, that we see over in Ukraine are thwarted. They're trying to get guns here and there, and they do it so secretively that they don't come out and say that because nobody can actually prove it after it's done. It's either thwarted and they take the guns, but what we see is a lot of dead people like we had in Las Vegas. A lot of connections that we can't really necessarily, we can't as citizens say, oh yeah, well it was this guy and he was the one running them, factually with hardcore facts, because we're not. Death is a bunch of dead innocent civilians, guns or whatever. There's some kind of a message to be made, whether it be politically or in with these casino mafioso types. Who knows what that message was supposed to be? Or we can go with Michelle Fiore's Stephen Paddock was just on diazepam or whatever, and don't know, but it sure looks like an awful lot of mental illness. It does look untreated mental illness. It looks like a lot of connections. Guns. Russia was involved. Russia has steered much of the propaganda with all of these people involved. Our own president is being investigated for ties with Russia, and he immediately blamed it on Antifa. The Stephen was a known Antifa member. Is it true? Our president said it, and I don't think it's true, but has anyone else seen any proof? Does he know something we don't? I mean, you would think he does know something we don't, because he has all of our intelligence agencies at his disposal, but I have not seen a single fact showing that Stephen Paddock was a known Antifa. Anyways, y'all, I'm still looking at all of this, trying to figure it out. I don't know why nobody else seems to want to discuss it. We've had shootings come from this clan before, from these two right here. Miller. Gunned down 2 police officers and several civilians from the Bundy Ranch they went to Las Vegas to do it. I mean, if they were just going to gun down anybody, police officers, what was that we saw the map there? We're in 11 minutes away from Bundy Ranch. There's not some cops on the side of the road or something. Why Las Vegas? Why did they have to go there? Something's going on with all of these people. It's just, it could be coincidence, but it just seems like too many coincidences with innocent people getting killed or almost killed by their guns sets, which have been altered, socially engineered by Russia. That's a fact. that Russia has been, I mean, you can look at their Facebook pages. I have several screenshots of what they're sharing, the rallies that they went to. A lot of it stemmed from the Pamela Geller shootings, the ISIS shootings. We had an FBI agent acting as a lookout for 2 ISIS members who came to the Pamela Geller Draw the Prophet. The FBI was a lookout for 2 ISIS members. They did manage to shoot a security guard in the leg, but they were shot. I did a video on that already, but there was another member, by the way, who ISIS member supposedly or whatever, that it took them 2 years, and all of that information about the FBI came out when they went after this other guy who no one had ever heard about, and I guess he was dangerous, and they just left him on public about him for like 2 years. It's messed up. If anyone hears about the explosives, I thought Stephen Paddock had explosives at the Mandalay Bay that didn't go off or something for some reason. I'm wondering if the FBI was involved with this, and if so, on what level? Because it wasn't thwarted or anything, right? They're just saying that Stephen Paddock committed all these murders and then killed himself. It wasn't like, oh, our agents took him out or anything. I want to know, yeah, was there explosives there that didn't go off? Was the FBI there in any capacity? Did the FBI have any idea that it was going to go down at all? Now let's remember that the FBI was there at Bundy Ranch filming them the whole time. The whole time. Was the FBI there filming these 2? Who left? Jared and Amanda Miller, as they ate their pancake breakfast and then left to go shoot 2 innocent police officers and at least 1 civilian. Just makes me wonder. With that, I'll let you go. Please leave a comment if I touched on anything or if there's something you'd like to add, because I'm trying to put some pieces together to some things that maybe others aren't talking about. Tuning in, and y'all have a good one.